Hello everybody and welcome to an exciting bit of news. We have a new patch for Darkest Dungeon 2, and this is a pretty dang cool one. So this patch, which dropped tonight, it's a weird time for them to drop a patch, is the Binding Blade base game experimental release, and there's some really exciting stuff in this patch. So just so you know, this patch is only available to you on the experimental branches on Steam or the Epic Games Store, so you can't use this on the main branch. If you're playing still on the main branch, you will be able to continue your run there as normal, but if you do start a run on the experimental branch, it is going to change to these new things, and they have a note here that says just make sure that you realize once you change you won't be able to go back on the experimental. You're kind of be stuck on that one, so keep that in mind. Quite a lot of exciting things here. Some things I've already explored a little bit, but some things that I've yet to explore, but we do have some really cool ones. So the first one is the general section here, and we have added the ability to remove positive quirks at the hospital, which is fantastic. I do believe when I saw them that they cost half as much as it costs to lock in a positive quirk. So locking in is 32 and removing them is 16, like it is removing a negative quirk. There is no ability to lock in a negative quirk. I know some people have been asking for that, and I don't know if you can remove a locked positive quirk, so I'm unsure of that. Like if you lock something you really like, but then you get like Defiant and you want to lock that one instead, I don't know if you can like swap them out, so we'd have to figure that one out. They have added a new combat route encounter. This is in the base game. This is not DLC content, so you do not need the DLC in order to get the combat route encounters. The DLC is not out yet, by the way. That is still coming out on the 11th. I sped run a game to try and find one of these encounters. They look really interesting. They have new enemies. They have some really interesting ones. If you want to look a little bit more about that and see just kind of a quick like 3-minute video about me fighting them, you can check out the card over here. I'll put it up there so you can find that video. But yeah, it is an entire new faction. They have a different so now there's Gaunt road combat, there's Pillager, there's the regular faction, regional faction one, and now there is this new barricade one. I'm assuming it's tied into the story of the DLC, whatever that might be, whether that's for the duelist or the crusader or a combination of both of them. I don't know if it has anything to do with the warlord. As far as I know, the warlord is not in this update. I think he is locked behind the DLC, but I don't know. I've only played a little bit of it, so we'll have to figure that out. There's nothing in here to indicate that he's been added. So they've added rank highlights to indicate which monster is guarding the selected target. That's pretty good, so that way you know who, like if there's multiple people guarding, you can figure out who's doing what. Added party and hero loadout savings. So this is a pretty good one. So this allows you to create pre-saved party combinations and pre-saved hero combinations. I've got some b-roll footage of that, so I'll try to show that here. But essentially you can actually create like your favorite parties, and there's a little button in the crossroads which has a whole new UI. That's another one here to look at, and you can actually just go through your pre-saves and you can click them. So if you have like your favorite 10 teams, you can name them, you can have them pre-made, and you can just click them and it just puts your team there all ready to go. And then within the hero character sheets, they also have loadouts for them. So if you have your favorite like way that you play a specific hero when they're a specific path, instead of having to go through and select, you can just you can select it and then create a loadout, and then you can click the loadout and it'll just move all the abilities. You can have multiple of them. As far as I know, you can have a lot of them. I don't know what the limit is, but more than you would need, I would imagine. So definitely have some fun with that. Very cool quality of life update there. They've added the achievement list to the profile summary UI. So when you go into when you hit like the escape button or you click your profile, that little skull icon, you actually get a list of all the achievements and it tracks them. So you can actually see where you are in game. You don't have to use like EGS or Steam to kind of track those things. I don't know if they fixed the bugs that have come up with achievements of people who haven't been getting them. I do know that I loaded into my EGS experimental version and I got like 3 achievements right off the bat that I should have already had, so maybe it's been fixed. I don't know if that's for everybody or just like some weird update for me, but very interesting there nonetheless. Updated icons seen in the travel log for certain deliverable items. I'm not quite sure what this is. I think it's just for deliverables. Added new crossroads UI. This is something, again, I'll show a little bit of b-roll here. It's definitely a lot cleaner. It takes a little bit of getting used to. I think there's still some quirks for this UI. It's a little bit confusing for like some things, but I think it's better in other things. But I like the way it looks. It's definitely been made to accommodate a lot more heroes. Well, 2 more heroes, right? So, and the updated Stagecoach UI, and they've moved that around as well, which it looks a lot cleaner. It's no longer like up here and down here. Again, I'll show a little bit of B-roll here for that, but they've added in like a little bit of it's all in one spot now, so it's all linear. Combat, updated description of Daze token to better reflect that it interacts with actions, not just turns. This is something I actually kind of figured out recently, but there is a difference between extra actions and extra turns. So that's something that those 2 things are different things, so you have to keep that in mind. Fixed an issue where extra actions were incorrectly counting towards cooldown values. So if you have an extra action, essentially an extra action is that most of the things that you see, like the Oversprung Pocket Watch or Temptation or Encore, they give an extra action. Those things don't get affected by damage over time, healing over time, and they don't affect your cooldowns. That was not how they're supposed to operate. You're basically getting an extra round of your ability to do something. There is something called an extra turn, which some enemies have, but I don't think you have extra turns as a hero, right? So bit confusing there. Like the enemies, like the altar has an extra turn kind of gimmick for Act 4, so that's something to keep in mind there. Heroes, the Highwayman, take aim no longer grants a speed token. Not really the nerf I was expecting for the Highwayman, but that's I mean, we knew take aim was getting nerfed, but that's an interesting one. Mana Arms. There's a whole lot here for the Man-at-Arms. Pretty much every one of his abilities, or at least his big abilities, has been nerfed. He has been nerfed pretty heavily. Crush damage is down, Rampart damage is down, Retribution has an increased cooldown, and Retribution Plus no longer grants block and just removes or lowers the cooldown. So it goes from cooldown 2 to cooldown 1. There's no longer any block tokens there. Riposte damage has been lowered as well, and Bolster no longer removes vulnerable and weak, whether upgraded or not upgraded. So lots of nerfs there. We knew they were coming. I didn't expect them to be this many, if I'm entirely honest, but we did know that they were coming. Occultist, updated tooltip on binding shadows to properly represent the duration of the debuff being applied. Okay, good stuff here. All right, a couple new things for bosses. I'm going to try to power through this. There's quite a lot of notes here. A lot of them mostly fixes. So Collector now only has a chance to spawn once per region. I think this is a good thing. It was annoying if you could get them like 3 times in a region, and has happened to me. It's basically a run ender. Not very fun. Collected heads now only spawn with an extra action in the first round. This is something I've asked for multiple times. I know a lot of other people have as well. So he no longer, every time he summons, if he does collect coal multiple times in a fight, the heads will not get a turn until the next round. After the initial time. The first time they get summoned, yeah, they get actions that first time. That makes sense. It's, you know, they got to get the fight going, right? Otherwise, you would just murder the collectors super quick. So definitely makes sense. And then Ravenous Reach, setback now ignores stealth. This is an interesting one. I think this is probably because somebody found a way to cheese that fight by throwing, probably like putting a grave robber in rank 1 and using the general's trophy to stealth her with Shadow Fade, and then just have her stay up there and use shimmering powders, and it probably just never did setback because it couldn't see her, so it negated a lot of the fight. So that makes sense to me. A lot of item changes. So when items are gained in combat, they will now appear in the post-combat reward screen. I didn't realize that they were not doing that, but okay. I think that means like the blood. So when you got the blood during combat, I don't think it showed up in the post-combat screen. It just showed up in your inventory, so I think that makes sense. They increased the chance for unique sluice items to appear from the respective enemies from 10 to 20%, so this is good. This makes the sluice feel a bit more potent. It really kind of sucks when you go through the sluice and you get a single one of the unique items, like the pig sticker or whatever it is from the skeever, or I can't remember what the other items are, but it's good to have these things showing up a little bit more often. Fixed an issue allowing obtaining multiple copies of signature inner items when they should be unique. This one is, I guess it makes sense. I've been able to stack things like the battlefield instructions or whatever it is from the man-at-arms and end up getting like 50% additional damage on guarded people. It makes sense that this is a thing. They are very rare items anyway. I do wish that they increased the chances that at least one of them would appear in the inn. because it does feel like I very rarely see them, but oh well. A natural pigment. By the way, if you see this red icon, this means that this was a user suggested, like not something that they just implemented themselves. So this is like a suggestion from the community. This is why feedback is important. A natural pigment a combat item no longer consumes crit tokens. That's good. Fixed tin delicacies loot allow bonus loot with other items such as the icebox. Oh, okay, so great. So now if you have the icebox, you can actually get multiple fixed tin delicacies. God, that's hard to say. Staggering striker. That is the unique sluice item. Chance to apply combo increased from 33 to 66%. That doubled the chances. That's really good. The Crimson Tick fixed a description that incorrectly stated the chance at 5% when it's actually 8%. Oh, okay. No wonder it's been showing up a bit more. It feels like it has. So that's good. Inert Indica. This is an item that a lot of people have not been using. Updated tooltip description for better clarity, and now also provides regen when hit while dazed. Still probably not a great thing, but at least dazed is pretty common, and getting hit, like somebody getting hit who has dazed, is actually a pretty common occurrence, I would say. So that's actually some pretty decent usage there. Orbitoclast, I can't say that word. That tooltip has now been fixed to showcase that it removes all your negative quirks, not just one. Smoldering Fireward, this is the Vestal's unique fire trinket, has changed the burn 2 condition from only working on illumination to all range skills. So that makes this a really potent trinket, adding burn to a lot of her abilities, basically making her a burn character at base instead of having to use the conviction tokens in order to get burn. This is a big one here. Footman's Grog, an item that used to be amazing and then was nerfed and nobody ever used it, is now good again. Effects now apply to each hero rather than just the hero equipping it. So this is a party-wide trinket, essentially. Very, very good. Glimmer of Hope has been added, has the flammable tag added, so it now actually works with trinkets and items that require the flammable tag. Interesting. Foreclosure Notice, this is the trinket for the Grave Robber. The chance to apply combo while in rank 4 has increased to 50%. That's pretty good. Healing debuff received while not in stealth was reduced from 75 to minus 25%. Wow, that's really good. That's a huge change, and now adds 2 stealth tokens upon a successful hit. Wow, that trinket has been buffed crazy. That's awesome. Here's another funny one. Faceless Visage. This was a trinket that would shuffle your team and the enemy team at combat start. It now shuffles on combat start, change to combat round for the enemies. So I believe it shuffles your team initially, and then the enemy team, it will shuffle every round start. That's pretty funny. I think this is a silly trinket, but it's a fun one, so I like that. That actually makes it feel a bit more useful. Unwavering Standard. Chance to apply block for each ally increased from 33 to 66%. That's really good because it felt really bad before. Silent Treatment. This is the stealth cultist, the stealth cultist trinket. The chance to gain 1 stealth token changed to gain 1 stealth token 50%, so that lowered a bit, or 2 stealth tokens at 20%. So now you have a chance for 1 or 2. That's really good. I think that evens out, and at least that way, if you have the time where it doesn't proc, the next time maybe it procs twice, and so you can kind of prime it a bit easier, I think. Murder Weapon chance to instant kill on crit has been increased to 20%. Again, that's kind of a silly trinket. That 5% does make a difference, though. Burns, okay, this is the other big thing. Burn Salve, Bandages, Anti-Venom, Spring Water, Healing Salve, Adrenaline Tonic, Triage Kit, and Stitching Kit have all been changed. So a lot of them have been changed from percent heals to flat heals. So a lot of them, the basic ones like Burn Salve, Bandages, Anti-Venom, those are all healing 5. Mineral Wood Spring Water heals 5 health. That is regardless of character, not percentage based. Healing Salve now does 12, Adrenaline Tonic does 18. Triage Kit heals 27, seems like an odd number, and Stitching Kit, which is the in item that heals, has had its heal increase from 20% to 50%. That does make Stitching Kit feel a lot more valuable. Still not super valuable. It's still not a trinket I'm really going to take, but if you do get to an inn and you're low on health and you're kind of worried, it may be particularly useful at the beginning of the mountain where you know you're going like straight into combat. If you have a low health hero and they don't heal very well in the inn and they're still like half health, you can boost them straight to, you know, full health pretty much, and then you get that little heal before the next thing. So the next items are all fixes. I don't really think I need to go through a lot of these. Some of them are kind of silly. A lot of them have to do with like bounty hunter, hero positions being locked or issues, IDs not showing correctly, whatever the case is here. So a lot of these are just bug fixes. I'll leave this up here, so if you want to, pause the video here and just take a look at them, kind of go through them one by one, you're more than welcome to. A lot of really good fixes here for sure. And then there are a couple known issues. So like gamepad functionality is not operating correctly for the new UI. So if you're using the gamepad or the Steam Deck, you might have some issues. And localization is in progress. So when you're playing in other languages, there may be some missing strings. There are some missing strings that I have already seen in this. Again, it is the experimental version of the game, so there's going to be some issues. I know that there's like some missing sound effects on the new enemies and other things like that. If you've seen my video, you've noticed that as well. So really exciting stuff. I think this is basically a good idea of what we are to expect for people who do not buy the DLC. I'm excited to see that there are new enemies coming, so you do get to experience some new content if you are not purchasing the DLC. But if you're excited about it, there are a couple things you can take a look at. You can actually see the new character slots in the Crossroads and the Living City, so exciting stuff there. Obviously, you can't interact with them. You can't see any of the new heroes yet or anything like that. That is all coming out on the 11th. And if you haven't heard already, there is a developer stream happening on the 10th on Red Hook's official Twitch channel. So if you want to check that out and see some content, I don't know what they're going to be streaming, but I'm assuming they're going to be showing off some of the new stuff for the DLC the day before purchase, so you can check it out there. So if you like this video and you want to see more and stay up to date on all news Darkest Dungeon 2, I will cover things as they come out, and I will be playing all the new content as it releases. Definitely consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching the video, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.